must pray.
Alright, what's going on guys, and welcome back to the channel. Now today we're behind my 1997 Subaru Impreza. And if you haven't seen the previous videos on this car, I really recommend checking them out, and I'll make sure to leave a link above. But anyways, what we're getting back to is currently where the car is at. Because I got quite a story to tell with you guys. So for everybody that's been following along on this build, you know that I kind of wanted to turn this into a Battlewagon, you know, whatever that means in terms of making sure that I'm able to go out on many road trips and adventures, being able to take it off on off-road terrain. Not saying that it's like a full-blown, you know, got the diff lockers and everything 4x4, but you know, I do want to just have some fun and some dirt. And unfortunately at 221,000 miles, the engine finally had enough and decided that the timing belt was going to snap. And unfortunately, that meant that the valves hit the pistons. Now, this is a very, very common theme that you've seen now through all my videos. This is my third Subaru with a snap timing belt, and I'm getting pretty sick of it. Getting to the point where maybe I need to stay away from these cars and do something else. But what I did want to show you guys is kind of the process of tearing down the naturally aspirated 2.2, also known as the EJ22, which is actually a very stout engine. And internally, after taking things apart, it looks really good. But the thing that I wanted to do is just kind of show you guys a little updates as we go. So this is actually filmed later than all the stuff that you're going to see in a second. Please be considerate of the information that's being provided to you. I'm not gonna go exactly through step by step of the whole engine teardown process as I rebuild the heads, just due to the fact that I just think it's gonna be overkill. But if you do have any questions about putting back together or rebuilding heads on a Subaru, you know, feel free to comment down below and maybe I can help you that way. But this is gonna be more of just like a story progression of just like how everything was torn down and how I have rebuilt the heads. So these are going to be the cylinder heads. So there's two of them, since this is a boxer engine, that are going to be going back onto the engine that is actually behind me. So I hope you guys enjoy the following clips that you're going to see of me rebuilding the engine on this car. So I'll talk to you soon. All right, so here's how the car currently sits. It's a little lumpy. This is after all the damage was done. What we tried to do is we actually put a new timing belt on and replaced some of the idlers. They actually look to be in pretty good shape, but as you know, since the belt snapped on a non-interference engine, you would think that it wouldn't have caused any damage to the actual engine itself. But unfortunately, in this case, it actually did. Just due to the fact that it was on the highway, it doesn't matter if your engine sometimes is non-interference or interference. Once the valves come in contact with the pistons, the damage is already done. So the next step for us is to conduct a compression test to see where the compression is lost. And then once I pull the engine, I'll be able to see, based on the compression test, if I need to do one side or both sides. Now, what's interesting about these boxer engines is they have two separate cylinder heads. Usually on a more traditional 4-cylinder engine, it'll just be one cylinder head, but in this case, it actually has two. So everything is put on correctly. Unfortunately, it's just kind of bucking around like it's running on 2 or 3 cylinders. Okay, so I just got back from the parts store, and luckily they had a compression tester that I actually could rent. Because the one I have is actually really bad shape. I don't even know if it holds compression anymore, so I didn't want to take my chances and have to do the work twice. So luckily enough, I was able to actually get a new one from them that's still a rental. So all I have to do is just basically bring this back in working condition back to them. They take a deposit from me, but anyways, that's past the point. So let's go get compression numbers and see which side of the head is actually bad on this car. All right, so to do this, you have to take off the air box. You can keep the battery if you want. You actually want to keep the battery to turn the engine over itself. You will need to remove the washer fluid reservoir. It typically sits over here. As you can see, the 2 bolts, that's easy. It's gonna leak a little bit. You gotta get rid of some plugs. That's easy stuff. Don't lose this. This is your mass airflow sensor plug. I don't know why whenever I work on these cars, I always end up dropping this down here and then I forget about it. But you guys know the drill. So let's do the compression test. Okay, before I get carried away and pull the engine out, we removed all the bolts that connect to the flex plate in the transmission. You actually have to remove the intake manifold itself first to make this all work. It's sitting over here on the ground. And everything's ready to go. We got the AC out of the way, the power steering out of the way. And I'm just really excited, as you can tell from me talking a million miles an hour. So let's go get the hoist and yank this thing out of here.
One eternity later.
Finally got the engine out. You got to miss out on all the wiggling and pulling and yanking on everything to get it out. Got it on the engine stand over here. Already started pulling the valve covers off. But for anybody that's never seen an EJ22, this is the 2.2 liter 4-cylinder boxer engine that you get out of these 90s Imprezas. And it's a really simple setup in comparison to the newer boxer engines. So the next steps for us is just going to be to put the bolts back in their place once we rebuild the heads. I got a laundry list that I need to compile of all this parts and gaskets and stuff that I need to buy, as well as taking both sides of the heads to the machine shop, is because you saw in the compression test that it looks like both sides of the heads need to be rebuilt because we got low compression on 2 cylinders on.
Good that we got everything else torqued.
Looks good. Did the valve adjustment.
Did the head bolts. Did the carrier bolts. Did the cam gears.
All right, folks, we're back. So I got the engine in the car finally. Took a lot of wiggling to get the engine mounts to line up. Don't worry about this portion of the timing cover missing. It's just sitting in the trunk and I actually can't get back there right now. But what's really nice is everything is torqued down. I torqued all the valves to spec, the heads to spec, valve covers to spec, cam gears, idler pulleys, timing belt tensioner. Everything is going really smooth so far. The reason that we just put some tape there is just to cover that hole. That's actually where the torque converter mates with the flex plate on the engine to transmission. And besides that, it's all here. And the rest of it is just really putting on the intake manifold, the radiator, as well as all the other accessories that go along with putting the car back together. But for the most part, the hard part is done. So we got all this up here. So now the next steps are going to be putting back everything together and then firing it and seeing what you get. So I'll see you then. All right, here is the engine finally put all back together with the rebuilt heads. Don't worry about that. That's just the jump pack. The battery is extremely dead, but everything is put back together. The only thing that sucks is these little top portions of the radiator came off. And what we're gonna do right now is pull a car in so that hopefully we can jump this thing. But I am literally shaking. And I'm so scared to see if this car will actually run. So.
Battery's too weak. It sounds so good. Oh my god, man. Oh my god. No leaks. I still can't believe it, man.
How smooth it is.
It's just unbelievable.